Hey there, I'm Adam Jury from Tune Studios. I am a heck, I guess, almost 20-year veteran of the game industry at this point. Mostly as a graphic designer, project wrangler, InDesign hacker. And today I'm going to take you through a few ways that you can hack documents with InDesign, do some interesting stuff. Um, Overall goal here, I'm not trying to like show you A to Z, this is how you do something. I kind of want to spark some ideas, maybe make you go, oh, well, if you can do that, what could we do this? Um, and so yeah, let's jump into it. I'm going to cover some stuff that is like the I'm going to be on the combination of RPG and card design here, I suppose. I'm using data pulled from RPGs, but I'm going to be throwing it into card formats because that's a little easier to digest. Um, and then we'll move on from there depending on how time goes. So the other thing is Avi is monitoring the chat for me. So if you have questions of any sort, feel free to fire them in, and I will try to answer them as we go. If something seems to go weird and you're just like, I don't understand what you were doing there, just give us a holler and we will inform you on what happens. As a lot of people who do design know, sometimes you do things automatically without thinking, and then somebody will be like looking over your shoulder and go, "Hey, how'd you do that?" And you're like, "I don't know. How did I do that? I've been doing this for years." So I'm just gonna start here with a little family circus cartoon here, which is one of the ones where the kid walks all over, you know, Kingdom Come when they could have walked in a straight line, and now they have to retrace their steps, and that's kind of how I feel about making games. Sometimes where you start is not the right place to start, and sometimes you think you are going in a nice straight line to the finish line, but then you decide to jump over the car and things go wacky. And sometimes the car just explodes. Do you know why the car exploded? I sure as heck don't. Especially when using InDesign, because InDesign can be a bit of a beast, but it's super powerful, and you can do all sorts of things with it. Above and beyond graphic design. So I am going to start here, and we're going to kind of start with an empty palette here and no documents open because the new version of InDesign, InDesign 2022, just dropped a couple days ago due to Adobe Max. It's actually, that just disappeared too quickly. Yeah, it's InDesign 17.0 for the numerically inclined. So, rule of thumb, if you're already using a version of InDesign and you don't know why you should upgrade to this version, don't upgrade to this version. There's actually not a ton new in this version. It's kind of a bug fix stability update, but so far in my working, it's been pretty stable. So I want to go into a couple things first while I have no documents open, because as soon as you create a document, a bunch of preferences will stick to that document, and some of them are bad. Some of the default InDesign preferences are really bad, and you don't want them. So the first one I will start with is this basic paragraph here. And I'm going to double click on it, and you can see even though I have no document open, I can edit a paragraph style. And once I save this paragraph style, any new document I make will inherit this version of it and not the version that is the default. So you're changing the defaults, and that's going to get applied to all of your future documents. So you can change anything you would normally change in a paragraph style here. As you know, like InDesign likes to default you to Minion Pro 12. This is fine. Like I don't care about any of this stuff really. You might want to change your default align to grid to be all lines or first line. Depends on what kind of graphic design you are. Some people love working with the grid, some don't. The one that I would definitely advise that you change is turn off the ding-dang default hyphenation setting. And I love hyphenation. I love good hyphenation. The default settings for InDesign, though, are terrible. We go back to the car on fire. These are car on fire settings. So I am going to change them. I'm going to drag fewer hyphens down, and I'm going to turn off unhyphenate. I'm going to turn off hyphenate last word, hyphenate capitalized words, and hyphenate across column. Hyphenate capitalized words, that one's definitely a taste. A lot of games have a lot of capitalized words, like will capitalize every skill, names of traits. So sometimes you can't avoid hyphenating capitalized words. But the number one thing I really want to do is I would never want to hyphenate a word that has 5 letters. That's gross. So I start with a default of 7, and I never want to start 2 characters in to a word either, or 2 characters at the end, or else you'll end up with a word like higher, H-I-G-H hyphen ER on the next line, and those aren't good. So these are the defaults that I kind of like, but if you don't like hyphenation at all, and some people don't, you can just untick it, and any of your new documents, all the new styles will not have hyphenation. In the same vein is justification, and these default justification settings combine with the hyphenation settings to produce some paragraphs that have giant rivers of text. And I normally go with some settings that look more like this, but it will depend on the typeface you're using. And generally what I'm doing here is I'm making the spaces between letters and the spaces between words narrower and more average, so there's not as much flux. Rest of these, you're probably just going to all want to leave at their default. They're all pretty good. So I'm going to hit OK here. And this is, you can do the same thing with character styles and object styles, and you can add new styles. So I highly advise you're going to go to character styles, new style, and you want to make a style called bold. And you go to basic basic character formats, and you just go font style bold, and that's the only thing you change. And then you hit OK, and you do the same for italic. And if you are really sassy, you're going to want to do these for serif and sans serif text as well, but I am not going to make you sit through all of that. And the good thing is, once you've done it once again, it's going to hit all your documents. So these character styles of bold, italic, italic, and bold, when I make a new document, and I just hit Command N for a new document, hit return, it's an absolute default document, you will see here that the character styles came along for the ride. And if I open up the basic paragraph style here and go to hyphenation, you'll see that my hyphenation settings have come in. So by closing your document, all your documents, changing your defaults, then you're going to be slurping your new defaults into new documents, which will drastically speed up your work when you're just kind of noodling around on things. And other stuff that you can do, which I would advise, is you can change your swatches to reflect your what you need. So for example, I frequently use this shade of purple, and I can just new color swatch, and I cannot add it like that. Nope, that's not how I add it. Whoops, I apologize. Add color to swatches. There we go. Add the adventure chapter color to swatches, and you see when I make a new document, it also comes along for the ride. So easy way to set up your default stuff. And then once you've just opened a blank document that has the stuff that you want in it, you can then just save that as a template. And even if it's just like my default paragraph styles that you use, you always want to have like a paragraph style for a header 2, a header 3, header 4, header 5, tertiary headers. Now we're getting a little dicey. Maybe don't put that in your defaults to encourage some better header usage. Basic paragraph text, whatnot, you want to be bringing that in. So all of these settings, you will save time by setting them out, but also those are document level settings. If you go into the general preferences here, these settings sometimes tag along in documents too, and for example, one of them is composition. So I like having custom tracking and kerning highlighted, and I also like changing the default kerning and tracking keyboard increment to 5/1000ths of an M, because it defaults to 20, which is too big. There's other stuff you could change in here. The story editor default font might be one you want to do. Appearance of black, you just want to set both of these to display all blacks accurately and output all blacks accurately. Just trust me. And you probably want to leave black at 100 on overprint as well. So those you can leave. These ones change. This one leave the defaults. And again, once you hit OK, that your new files will inherit those settings. And now, one of the most important InDesign tips is once you've made changes to your preferences or to your keyboard shortcuts or anything like that, close InDesign and reopen InDesign. Because if InDesign crashes, which it very rarely does, very rarely, when InDesign crashes, anything that you have changed preference-wise since the last time you closed it won't actually be saved. So you just want to, once you've made some changes really quick, Command Q out of there and then reopen it, and hopefully you're not going to lose your preferences. All right, so I am going to hop in now to a little template that I've been working on. Update these modified links. And what I'm working on here, this is a document. It's we got 2 pages. They're tarot card sized, and they're just tarot card sized because it's nicely fills up the screen. Could be any size you want. And I'm gonna run taking text from an Excel spreadsheet or a faux database, because let's face it, many uses of Excel are just faux databases. We're going to take that and we're going to automatically make a bunch of cards. And you can see here that I have definitely already started. But let's just start right from the beginning here. I am going to go to my saved. Aha! Remember what I was saying about InDesign crashing and not saving preferences? It crashed earlier today and did not save my new tarot card preference. So, I'll remind myself of these measures here, 2.75, 4.75. Let's go Command N here. I'm making a new document, and I'm going to change the measurements to inches. You can use, of course, whatever measurements you like, and I bounce between using inches and points depending on how much text is in. I want facing pages on, and I want 2 pages in this document to start, and I want it to start on page 2. And then I'm going to turn these margins all the way down just for visualness. Trust me on this one. And then I am going to save this preset as tarot. Then I'm going to hit, all right, you see it shows up here in the new window. I'm going to hit create. And now I have a blank document all ready for me to start plonking some text into. And if you look over here, Data Merge has a bunch of text in this kind of like faux readme area that is impossible to read because it is so small. But if you make it larger here, so let's choose a data source from the panel menu, drag data fields from the panel to frames on the page, and then choose Create Merge Document from the panel menu. So I'm going to delete this here, and I'm going to go over to my spreadsheet. I'm actually going to open up this text file. I am going to cross my fingers that Excel does this how I want. It does not. Cool. There we go. All right, so I've opened up a plain text file, which is a faux spreadsheet in Excel. And it has, you can see here, it's just got a bunch of headers, and these are all game stats. And it has 5 distinct entries for different characters. And as we go over here, we even have like a piece of art embedded that will be shown later on. And so a lot of times you are prototyping a game, you're playtesting a game, you have decided that you need, X number of cards, specific stats on them. You want to get these in a state where you can print them out, sleeve them up, and start playing, and you don't want to spend all day at it because, well, time spent at your computer making prototypes is time spent not playtesting them. And also, you want to be able to iterate pretty quickly when you're playtesting a card game. You want to be like, oh, these numbers are off, like all of these 55s, just make them 60, that sort of thing. So let's do that. Let's really quickly turn these character stats into some cards. I'm going to do that here in Data Merge, which you can get to Window, Utilities, Data Merge. I have docked it over on the side here. And you will go to Select Data Source. And you will select the text file that you were just working on. And you can see here that I have an Excel spreadsheet, which is an older version. And I am actually just going to open that spreadsheet up for a second to show it to you. The spreadsheet is the same content. However, InDesign will not import these spreadsheets directly in Data Merge. It will only do it in like a text CSV, tab CSV format, which is it's just text with tabs in between the entries. So 2 notes here is you'll see this is a .xls as opposed to a .xlsx file. And it just seems that when you go from XLS to text, it seems to work better. Sometimes if you go from an XLSX file, it flakes out. So I'm literally just going to go npc spreadsheet.xls and save it as a, down here, tab delimited text. And we'll just save it as npc spreadsheet new. And it says like some features might be lost. That's fine. And the nice thing about this is you can have all the fancy formatting you want in the actual spreadsheet if it helps you. If you like want positive numbers to show up green, or if you have highlighting, different fonts, whatever. You'll lose that when you save it to text, but then you just keep working in the spreadsheet to make changes and then save that back out to text when you need to update. So this is really flexible in terms of how you're getting the text into it. The other thing is I'm using Excel here. This could be a Google Sheet. It could be an OpenOffice, LibreOffice sheet. Sometimes there's some weirdness when saving those into text and importing them, but a little bit of debugging and you'll figure that out. But it just doesn't matter what spreadsheet you're using. And you could literally type these into a plain text file too. This is the plain text version that I was working with earlier. So I am gonna go to Data Merge, and I'm gonna select Data Source, and I am gonna grab the NPC spreadsheet that I was working with. And you can see in the preview here, I'm just gonna scroll this preview. You can see that it's identical to this version of the text file here, which is good because that's what it's supposed to be. And I'm gonna open, and it's gonna ask some questions, and the default for them almost certainly will be fine. So I'm just going to hit OK. I'm going to open it up. And you're going to see nothing just here. There's nothing in this document. But you see here, I get all of these itty-bitty entries. And astute eyes will notice that they are the same as all of the entries that are running across here. So they are essentially headers. You'll also note that there's one here that says art, and it has a little art box by it, and that is because it links to a file. The rest are all text. So I'm going to go onto my master page here, which is actually InDesign. Adobe just renamed master pages into parent pages for inclusive languageness, which I think is a great little change they've made. And what you can just do here, well, you cannot just drag these out. Why can you not just drag these out? Because you don't have a box to put them in. So you can make yourself a text frame. And once you have a text frame in here, the little clicking bar here, they, as Adobe gracefully calls it, the insertion point. You can just click on here and start adding these placeholders in. And we've overset our text, which simply means got this little red mark here. Means our text frame is not big enough for all the text we've put in it. Put a lot of text in here, didn't I? All right, let's delete that all and start again. I'm gonna put a name in. I'm gonna hit return this time. I'm gonna put the insight stat in. And one thing you notice, of course, all of these entries are as long as the name I have here, and then we've got these two brackets. So when you're designing this sort of stuff, it's not going to look right. And we can see that if we flip back here, this just, again, this looks like the car that's kind of on fire. And that's fine for now, because I'm going to go over here to the preview, and what preview is going to do is going to preview it. And it's going to use the first entry that was in your spreadsheet. So in this case, it's the Brinker Gate Crasher. And I hit preview, and it goes, sure enough, here's the Brinker Gate Crasher. And there's the 0, which was the insight, the 15, which was their cognition. And if we go over into the document, we can see, great, there's insight here, 15, cognition 15. Huh. This spreadsheet is different than this text file. That's why it's not right. Either way, we're getting these numbers into place, and that's what we want. So I've showed you the basics of putting the text in, and you can put them in a single text frame, and what I'm just going to do here is I'm just going to duplicate this text frame, and I'm just going to grab some extra ones here, and I have preview still turned on, so you're seeing the live numbers come in right now. But if I turn preview off, you are going to see the placeholders again. And now let's add the image. So I'm going to hit the M key, and I'm just going to draw out an image frame, and it's going to get this by default. I have a black background on it. Let's get rid of that. And we can actually, let's just stretch it so it's like, it's actually going to be on one side of my card, then bleed over onto the other side in this prototype. And at this point, I'm actually going to nudge into the data merge options, and I'm going to go to content placement. And this has a few things that can be important. So one of them is remove blank lines for empty fields. And that simply means if this database spreadsheet entry came in and nothing was under name, that line would be cut as opposed to being a blank line. And whether you want that or not is entirely kind of up to the document you are making, and you'll know if it's one of those things that you'll know if it's wrong when you see it. And then we're going to fit images to frames here. We're going to fill the frame proportionally. And we're going to center the image in the frame, and we're going to link the image. Just leave those like that. Hit OK. And then I'm going to hit preview again. And you are going to see that my art does not come in. Why does it not come in? I didn't add it yet. Okay, now I have clicked on the art frame. I have clicked on art, and I've added it in. Or again, you can just drag it right onto there, and you'll see it says art up here. So this is actually, at this point, it looks like it's a text frame because there's text in it, but it's not. It's got this little blue-white marching ant around it, and it is a graphics frame. So now when I hit preview, boom, my piece of art imports. And also, the marching ants here, just like the edges of the frames, those are non-printing objects. So I'm going to hit the W key and put it into presentation mode for a second, and you will see that those entities go away unless the object is selected, and then you'll see them show back up. So, well, one of these looks, I mean, sort of like a playtest card that you would throw down. Let's make all 5. And at that point, we go to Create Merge Documents, hit that, and it is going to give you the Create Merge Document dialog box, which has a bunch of stuff that, by default, if you just hit the Enter key and take the defaults, you're usually in pretty good shape. But the things that I want to point out here is number one, so you can tell it to do all records, and I have 5 in this document that I showed. You can just do a single record, so if you just want to see what number 4 looks like, or you can do a range. So if you have 700 cards in this file and you only want to do 100 at a time, you can do 1 to 99. Then 2 options here that are checked by default are generate overset text report with document creation, leave that on, and then alert when images are missing, probably want to leave that on. Multiple record layout is we're not using right now. And then over here in options, we have those image filling options just all over again. So I want to make all records, and I'm going to hit OK. Boom. It's going to take a brief second, and then it says no overset text was generated when merging records. Well, that's good. I'm going to hit OK. And this is weird. All of my placeholders are still here. And that's because I was putting those all on a master page, a parent page. And if I go into the pages panel here, you see I now have 10 pages, which is 5 records, 2 pages for each record, 10 pages. And if I click on the first one, you'll see here is my actual text and the art. And then if I flip through them, oh no, I recently reinstalled macOS because the new version just came out, and also reinstalled InDesign, and I lost all of my keyboard shortcuts. I didn't lose them; they're backed up. I haven't restored them yet. So, we'll mouse my way through these like some kind of monster, and you will see got a different piece of art for each one. Each one has a different caption. Some of the numbers are different. Some of them are not. Great. Now let's back up one step here. I've been making this in this Untitled 3 document, which everyone knows that the best documents are untitled. You'll see that it actually has made a new version of the document in this case. So Untitled 3-1 has all 5 of my cards in it, and it is linked to the data still. But I can save this, close it, delete it, and I still have the source document here that I can make a brand new one from. And of course, the advantage here, all right, so we have the Brinker Gate Crasher is our first card, right? Well, what if we needed to rename that card due to some sort of playtest change? So I changed it in my text file. Go to data merge. I want to update the data source. And when I did that, that turned preview off. And if I hit preview, boom, you're going to see not a Brinker Gate Crasher anymore. The new name for this card comes up. And from here, I could go to create merge document again, hit OK, and it makes the new document again. But what does this say here? We have Overset Text. And this is, again, one of those dialogues that InDesign, they've never updated to make the type any bigger. So it's actually, I have to squint to see this. But it says one document page has overset text, one story on that page has overset text, and it is page 1, 2 characters, 1 word. So we're going to go to page 1 here. And because not a Brinker Gate Crasher anymore, there's 2 lines of text, it pushed this 15 out of that text frame. And that's why you should leave on the notifications for overset text frames, because as you change parts of a card, you don't want to negatively impact other parts of the card. That is also a reason why the more complex your card is, the more you might want to use a text frame for every single piece of information. However, had I done that here, I'm going to delete some of these really quickly, and I'm going to duplicate this 2 times, and then I'm going to delete 2 occurrence of everything, so we are back to just having all 3 things, but they are in their own frame. I'm going to wiggle them like this. And you'll see this happens even when I just hit preview. Not a gate crasher anymore, not a brinker anymore. It is not anything. There's not a, because they don't fit into this frame. And again, if I had created a merged document, it gives me the overset report. And actually, in this case, because I made these so small, I have overset a lot of text on a lot of pages. So by keeping your frames small like that, I'm just going to close all of these merged documents that I've made, and I'm not going to bother to save them. By keeping your text frames like that, you are more likely to find errors quickly. Also, you're more likely to make some errors. But in this case, you probably would make sure that this was the right size to begin with. Now, the data merge feature, I'm struggling to remember when Adobe added it to InDesign. I don't think it was like OG InDesign, which is over 20 years old at this point. I think it was like InDesign CS1 or CS2 that they added it. So it's still pretty old. And for the most part, it hasn't changed, which is great because you could open up a 10-year-old document that has data merge, and as long as you've still got all the files, it's still going to work. But I honestly don't know how it interacts with some of the new InDesign features. At least I don't remember off the top of my head, because one thing you can do with a text frame now is auto-size it. So you can set an InDesign frame here to adjust the width only, and a line like to the left here. And I'm gonna duplicate this frame again. And I'm just actually going to type in it. So I'm just going to type Bob. And you're going to see that the frame is exactly as big as it needs to be to fit Bob in it. And that's great. But Bob has added the pandemic 15. I feel you, Bob. And it's grown a little bit. And this should auto size. It should width only auto size, but it's not. Why? I don't have a freaking idea. Who wants to watch me file a bug report with Adobe right now? I know I sure don't. There we go. I wiggled it a bit and it auto resized. So it took a little bit of work, but Bob auto resized here. And then if we type Bob's full name, which is Bobby, you will also see again that this box auto resized. That's probably easier to see if we add a nice luxurious background. And then we add Bobby's last name, which is Bobby Fulton, who, of course, you all know as a famous tag team wrestler of the 80s. So let's go back to the name one here that is auto-generated, and we are going to turn it to auto size, and we're going to see what happens. I'm going to change it to width only. Boom. And then oh yeah, we'll give it a bit of a color too, just so it's easier to see. Let's ooh, yeah, Christmas green, one of my favorite default InDesign colors. They give you some real fine default colors as long as you like your eyes bleeding. I use the purple all the time. It's great. I don't have any retinas anymore. All right, data merge here. Let's create a merge document. Boom. No overset text. So we're on the master page here. Let's go to the first page. Not a brinker gate crasher anymore. You can see all of them. Scroll down. Scum Mercenary. Barsunian Infolife Habtech. Venusian Bodyguard. Hypercorp Xenoarchaeologist. Great. So what do we learn here? The auto size function works. That's great, honestly. Because when you're dealing with, I'm just gonna get rid of this again. When you're dealing with more so numbers than words, 77 can be a lot thinner than 88, for example. 00, kind of a chubby number. And when you have a complex thing like this, you want to make sure that everything fits correctly. So that is a rough go over of some data merge stuff and artwork in it. And now I'm going to continue on that with this A/B testing file that I have here. And oh no, did I show you the good stuff? Quote unquote good stuff. Okay, now I've hidden everything. Great. So what's on my notes layer? I had that text on my notes. I can delete that. So here, and again, I'm on the parent page of this document, which is it is the same size. It is linked to the same data source. I'm going to update data source and make sure it's pulling in the most recent version. But I have some different contents on here. So I have 4 layers. If you don't know, window layers, it shortcuts to default to F7. The most useful default in InDesign thing is layers. If we are 25 minutes in, 30 minutes in, more in, if you don't know that layers existed before this moment, I failed you. Actually, if we go back to having no documents open, let's close all these. Easy come, easy go. You see there's no layers here by default. You cannot add a layer in no document. And that is kind of unfortunate, but let's show you another great hack. So I make a brand new document here, and I'm going to make a layer called art. I'm going to make a layer called text. And I'm going to add a third layer, which is my favorite kind of art, which is high art. Some people might call this art above, but I like my naming conventions as is. And here on high art, I'm going to draw a box, and I'm going to option drag that box. And you can see that this green mark here corresponds with the green outline here. Boom, I'm just going to drag that down to text, and now you can see red, red. And you can double click on a layer to change its color. And there's a whole lot of colors, and I'll be honest, I never bother changing these unless I am using a layer and its color is aggressively irritating to me. So I'm going to drag this one again, and I am going to put this layer here. So now I have 3 boxes on 3 different layers. I am going to select them all, and I'm just going to double check here that these 2 settings are enabled. Ungroup remembers layers and paste remembers layers. You probably want these settings to be always like this forever and ever. So I'm going to select these 2, and I'm going to group them, and then I'm going to copy them to my clipboard. And first, actually, I'm going to save this just in case I break it. I'm going to close here, and I'm just going to double check. Yes, when you have no documents open, you can ungroup. You can set these to be the defaults. Great. I'm going to make a brand new document, so there's nothing in it. You can see I have layer 1, which is the default document, and I'm going to paste in that object that I had made, 3 squares. And remember, I had them on 3 different layers. Now they just say they're all on high art. And that is because paste remembers layers was on. And when you group layers, they have to all be on, when you group objects, they all have to be on the same layer. And they will choose the topmost layer, which is high art, aptly named. Now, see, I have ungroup remembers layers checked. If I go to object ungroup, they do not remember what layer they were on because they've forgotten from the previous document. They can't remember that far back. That sucks. All right, so we are going to undo a few steps here. No, we're not, because you can't undo after you have closed a document. But the document did remember when I ungrouped that they're back on different layers. And if I undo the undo, yeah, it's not letting me do it. There we go. I've undone the ungroup, and they're all back on one layer. Undo it again. They'll get on their own layer eventually. This is one reason there we go. The new version of InDesign, and actually the last version too, has a lot of little display ticks for me where it doesn't update as quickly as it should, and I think that was coming into play there. So now we've got these 3 items. They are on 3 different layers. I'm going to make a brand new document. It has the default layer 1. I'm going to paste those items, and you see that automatically brings in the layers that I wanted, and then I can delete layer 1. So if you want to have art, text, high art, and if this is a full book, I'll have a layer for like my folios down here, and a bunch of other stuff. You could just make yourself in the template document you were talking about, make all the layers, put an object on all of them, and then you can just open it up and you've got all your layers ready to go. And if you cut and paste them into a new document, you will get all of them too. You can also save them into a CC library, which is a little squiggly of a feature to get in the time I have remaining. But CC libraries can be great. You're going to want to sit down and learn them more formally than I would teach you right now. All right. I'm going to close all of these fabulous boxes, and I am going to go to A/B testing again. And if you are in any sort of tech, or if you send emails with MailChimp, you probably know A/B testing. And simply that's when you show A to some people and B to some other people, and you get their opinions, and or you measure the metrics of which works better. So in the email example, you send an email to a quarter of your mailing list that looks one way, and a quarter of your mailing list and it looks a different way for them. And your mail software checks which one people click on and buy from the most. And after 6 hours or so, it goes, oh, option A was like 4% better. And it sends option A to the remaining 50% of your mailing list. This isn't that horrible. This is a lot hackier, but we're going to do the same thing. And again, we're on the parent page here, and I have a layer called A. And this is the exact same data that I've pulled in from the document. It's just a real simple card design here where, we have these icons down the side and a number next to them. And, you scribbled this on a napkin 50 minutes before your seminar started, and now somebody's making you play the game. We're going to look here at B. It's the exact same data. Almost. Except for the part that I broke. This is the same data, but it looks different. And then here, I have a layer with the art on it. And this little layer, I have a duplicate of the art on it. And if I go ahead and create my merged document here, it's not going to work because I broke it. All right. Well, that's not the end of the world, right? Is it? I hope not. How do I fix this? First of all, this layer's locked. I want to go back to my data merge here. Turn preview off. There we go. It was because the layer was locked and preview was on. What a monster. I didn't break the document. I just locked layers when I shouldn't have. Okay, cool. Let's look at layer A here. We have the name, threat, insight, moxie, figure, flex. Great. B, we have the same things, but they're just visually different. And you can see the name is down here. And then art and art duplicate, these are both linked to those pieces of art as well. Great. What am I going to do? Let's make them all visible. I'm going to delete this notes layer again. And I'm going to go data merge, create merge document. All of the defaults. So it has no overset text. Great. And again, it has made A/B testing into A/B testing 1, which hasn't been saved yet. I'm going to go here to pages, and we have 5 pages here. I left the art page off this one because the art is on the same one. And right now, you have 2 cards smashed on top of each other. But what we're going to do here is this is the... How'd you get in here? not supposed to be there. Oh, this is because I foolishly renamed not a Brinker Gate Crasher anymore. Yeah, and it is ginormous. So let's update this data, close this file, data merge, update data source, create merge document. You might go, geez, Adam, you're making all sorts of mistakes. And yeah, I am, but also fixing them pretty quick. So that's good. That's good. Here we go. All right, gonna hide layer B and we're gonna hide art duplicate. So here we have one version of the card that we are going to be giving to people to test. And then, so I can just take this and I'm like, export AB cards. These are A cards. Yeah. And I can send that file to one group of playtesters to print and play with. And then we'll take version B, which just looks like this. It should look like that. The way I tweaked this art requires a tiny bit of manual moving just because of the way I did it, but that will be like 4,000% fixable in 6,000 different ways for 150% chance of winning if you know your Scott Steiner math. All right, so drag the art into place. These ones export again, and we can just call these, what's my last file name called? Already forgot. AB cards, version B, final 2 revised, just to make it authentic. That's like a real day in the game building minds. Hit save, export it out again. There we go. We've got 2 PDF files of cards that are identical in content, but not in layout. And they're even more not identical because that font got busted somehow. By the way, if you're on a Mac, and I am on a Mac here, very inexpensive font editing software called Glyphs. And even if you do not know anything about making a font, and I know just enough to be dangerous, you can take Illustrator files, paste them in as letters, and then when you add the font, they just turn into these icons. And because they came as vectors, they can be resized to ginormous proportions without a loss of quality. I have ginormous it to the point where it won't even show up in the box anymore. There we go. Oh, because I don't want up there. So, give me the story editor. Okay, what the heck am I doing now? This is story editor, and you can get here edit with, no, how do you do it? One of those weird things that appears and disappears if you're using it or not. Edit with story editor. Here we can go, and it's Command Y, and this is just like basically a plain text version of what you're editing. And you can see here it also shows vigor, name, flex, which are the names of my placeholders. So if you're editing placeholders, it can be really good to see them. Although not really good to delete them. There we go. Okay, so now I've shown you make this icon from a font ginormous, and also you can color it. And that means that any sort of InDesign effect, like a stroke, can go around it. That's cool too, if not perhaps a little bit gaudy. And what do I hit here? Option Command M to bring up effects. Can easily add a drop shadow to it. Now, oh, this is looking really good for A 2001 D20 supplement. Inner shadow. Outer glow. Just gonna add all the effects to this. Oh, now it's looking really good, but I think I can make it best by deleting it. So, what was I saying? Glyphs, a fine little app for making fonts that you can do all sorts of quick editing tasks with from any icon that you've made. So, great example of a thing that you would maybe have is a dice icon or a die icon, as some people may say, but that is a little dodgy, especially on this time of the year. So super easy to embed text and mix it with icons coming right out of a sheet. And we're going to pull all of it together here. Or my data merge. Here we are. A data source. And here I am just going to go data merge. I'm going to go create merge document right away. I'm not even going to preview it. Just like that. One takes a little bit longer because there's a little bit more text to it. It says no overset text, great. Now this still looks like that Family Circus car on fire because that's the master page. But if I go here to these pages, you will see, actually, never, ever, ever use this command that I'm about to use, okay? You didn't actually see this.
10-minute warning while you're doing something we're not supposed to see.
All right. So as everybody has seen, I did not touch a certain keyboard command that you only should use with authorization. And if you tweet me, I will give you authorization. This is what the master page is looking like with the various tags in here. And here we have what it looks like once it's come in with the icons from the font, the actual numbers, and that means that this, like this paragraph here, which looks car on fire, hey, actually looks okay when it's at the formatting that it's supposed to be. I saw Henry Rollins perform once in, I think it was spring of 2004, and I was just amazed because it was his speaking word tour, not his not music. And Hank walks out on stage, and there's nothing on stage except a stool, two stools, and the stool that he is not sometimes sitting on has like 2 or 3 bottles of water on it. He talks for an hour and a half, as, basically only Henry Rollins can, without so much as uncapping 1 bottle of water. And I just, like, every few minutes I'd, like, look down and I'm like, is he never, ever gonna drink his water? Like, that's free. They gave him that water for free for playing that show. All right. So, let's I had a question on Twitter. I asked people like, "Hey, what do you want to hear?" And somebody was like, "Can you use data merge for RPG stats?" And like flowing a lot of text or like a lot of NPCs or stuff like that. And I mean, the answer is yeah, you can do anything if you put some effort into it and try. So what I did here is every Eclipse Phase character has gear packs, and they are multiple pieces of gear that you get together at character creation. And I didn't want to, in my spreadsheet, paste all the contents of the gear packs into them, because one of the cool things is like if we publish an errata change and the gear pack changes, then it's faster to update if we use a placeholder. So I put Gatecrasher GP and Explorer GP, for the different types in this document. So look, I mean, the question at this point is, how do I quickly change the gear packs text here to actually be all of the gear that a character would have. And I'm going to go right into the version of Phase 2nd edition that is the most recent version that the PDF and the print copies come from. And I am going to double check here that I am on page 68 for my gear packs. And I'm going to remind myself that we were looking at the Gatecrasher and the Explorer pack here. And so here's a Gatecrashing pack, and I'm going to just select it all, copy it, and I'm going to put it in my template. I'm going to delete this thing that you still have not seen. InDesign is going to beep at me in an obnoxious way for no reason that I can tell. I'm just going to paste that in. Gatecrasher, I needed the Explorer as well, all right? And then Explorer. All right. So as you can see, each of these lines has the name of the gear, its complexity rating, a little short description, and then a reference to the core book page that it's on. And I'm going to paste that in here like this. And macOS is going to try opening the window for some reason. Whatever. And then I'm actually going to delete the text that I don't need, because I'm going to be doing a really raw search and replace operation here. I'm literally just going to select all of the text for this gear pack, and I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. And now we're going to use find and replace, and I'm going to show you a few of the not complicated, but like slightly more advanced settings of search and replace, because once you realize, if you click through your head all the different ways that you can link this sort of stuff together, you will start seeing like, oh wow, you can automate a lot of stuff even if it was never meant to be automated. And I love doing things like this because it takes maybe takes an hour, a couple hours to figure out exactly how to do it right, but then you save yourself a whole lot of time, and then you get to spend time doing the fun stuff. And even if it doesn't save you any time, if you think this sort of stuff is fun like I do, well, then it's fun. So I am going to look at this paragraph, this gear packs. This is where I want to actually, in gear full, I actually want to put the text of the gear. And I'm going to look at my paragraph style, and it is NPC stats - gear full test. So I'm going to go to, this is the default find change dialog, and you want to click on more options here, which gives you the find and change format, which unlocks, this may as well just be called like all the power. More power, full throttle, whatever. Find format. I'm going to go to find format settings, and in paragraph style, I want to find the paragraph style that I'm looking at here, gear full test. And then I want to find Gatecrasher _GP. And the reason I'm going to do that here, I'm going to show with search in the story. This is a story. With the whole story selected, if I click Find Next, you'll see that even though I search for Gatecrasher GP, it only finds this one. It doesn't find any others. See, search is complete. And that's because this paragraph here is just the NPC stats. So with one of these selected, and again, is it still on my clipboard? I hope it is. I'm going to change the change to other, clipboard contents unformatted. And then I'm going to add an extra end of paragraph at the end, just in case. And I'm going to go find next, change, and boom, I have automatically put all of the text that I copied to my clipboard, which was the gear pack, into this text flow. And I'm not going to lie, it imported it with some paragraph breaks in there. It's not quote unquote correct, but it just goes to show you that with one really quick find and replace, you can be moving a lot of data around. So I'm going to really quickly, I'm going to delete this one. We're probably not going to get that far. I am going to go back to the gear pack stuff, and I am just going to really quickly throw it into a basic alphabetized list. I don't know you, but alphabetization is something I'm glad it's already done here because it's one of the hardest tasks in making games. We have a metaphorical cone of shame at Posthuman for whoever most recently goofed up alphabetization in something, and it passes heads frequently. All right, just about done here. I'm gonna TACnet. Delete these. These are, by the way, these are faux tables made with tabs because it's super fast to make tables that way these days. So again, I'm going to select all of this text. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. And then I'm going to go find again, finds Gatecrasher GP, hit change, and it puts all of the gear that I had copied from here into the right place. So you could imagine, because imagining is what we do, I could have 500 of these characters, and one search and replace, every single character that had the Gatecrasher pack would then have this text underneath it, and that would be correct and up to date. So if you remerged this, it would come back in like this. But then if you needed to make a correction here, like let's say that you gave everybody two electronic ropes, because who doesn't want an extra one? Put that on the clipboard, so you've done your remerge, you've updated your gear pack, copied it in from the core book, you do the search, and boom, that all updates correctly. Awesome. I am actually going to bounce back to my main book here. I am going to copy out that Explorer pack again. I'm going to get to it. Sweet. All right, so we have replaced in the Gatecrasher, we've replaced the Gatecrasher pack with the actual items. Now we want to give them the Explorer pack, and we're going to do that like this again. But man, I don't, if I have to copy and paste these into my document, even though I'm not going to be keeping them around, how can I get rid of all of this stuff faster as opposed to manually deleting it? And the answer is search and replace it again. So we're going to go to grep here, which stands for General Regular Expressions. And if you're a Unix nerd, you might know something about that. So I'm going to copy this tab into here, and you see that it shows up as like, woof, I'm a tab. Cool. I am then going to go period plus, and that is going to select to the end of the line. Wow. So this finds the first tab in a paragraph, and then it selects to the end of the line. And if I have change to set to nothing and hit change, it all goes away. Or does it? Sure doesn't look like it. Why not? What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Wild. Well, I've been betrayed by grep. So let's do this and see if that works. Betrayed by grep. This is my worst nightmare. It's like a really bad episode in the middle of a TV season of your favorite show. Oh, it's fine. The problem is just InDesign's being wonky. InDesign's being wonky. Maybe it's because I have these hyperlinks here. Yeah, you didn't see me doing this. There we go. All right, so this has taken my lines of text here. It has started at the tab to the end of the line, and it has turned it into a comma and a end of line break. And so I'm going to hit change find, and I'm going to do all of these. And then, because I'm a little bit extra, I can show you one more thing quickly. I can copy and paste that. So if you look real closely here, I've like copied and pasted the comma, the space, and the end of the line break, and you can see it represented in grep text here, the R, and I'm going to change that to a comma and the space again. And that's going to strip out the line breaks. And that was a roundabout way of manually deleting all of the text, like I manually deleted up here. Now, in this case, obviously, that took way longer than it would have me to just delete it, as you saw. But if you had 500 gear packs to process, probably wouldn't want to manually do them all. So now here, we're going to go Explorer. We're going to go back to our text here. We want to get rid of the Explorer GP and give it the actual gear. And you're going to notice in the change to, it's still just capital C P, which again, that stands for the contents of your clipboard and a paragraph break. And if I hit find change, I'm going to go find next, see that one, I hit change, boom, that has put all of the Explorer pack in as another paragraph. And I am very briefly, I'm just going to add a dot here. Okay, so I've now combined these two into one paragraph so the text looks right. The problem is this text is not sorted in alphabetical order. And if I handed this over to Sprite, Sprite would be like, Adam, put that cone of shame on, or else. So I'm going to open up BB Edit. BB Edit is just a text editor. It is from the fine folks at Barebones Software. And it uses a version 14, and that's real versions. That's like they've been coming out since like the 90s. This isn't like we update our software every week. It's like we update our software every 2 years, and it's good. So I am going to paste my text into here, and you see I've got all of these. It's all one line. Well, let's show some more InDesign hacking. I'm going to paste all the text into here. I'm going to go to grep search. I am, again, going to find a comma and a space. And I'm going to replace it with a comma, a space, and a paragraph return. It's going to go here. Change all. All right, so I've sorted, I have not sorted these. They are not yet sorted. They are, however, broken. So I'm going to paste them here. And aside from the ones that didn't come in right for some reason that I do not understand, looks great. Oh, I know why, because I just pasted it wrong. Let's paste it again. There we go. It was correct. Now I'm going to select all these in BB Edit, and basically any text editor can do this. I don't use plain text editors on Windows. Last I did, Ultra Edit was great, but there's a million text editors, and all of them can do this. We're going to go sort lines, and it's going to use the alphabet, and sorted lines replace selection. I'm going to sort. Great, look, autocook breadcrumb system alphabetical order. Copy that. And now I could paste that back into here. That's cool. Oh, it has lost the spaces again. So I'll paste it back in. And you can see here the find change dialogues. Remember your previous settings, so you can just change that again. Perfect. Copy and paste. Alphabetical order. Undo these bad changes. Paste the good changes in. So now I've got all my gear in alphabetical order, in more or less the correct formatting. And this has created alphabetical text for the gate crashing and the Explorer packs together, which I'm going to make a good copy of it here. And were I to search for Explorer gate crashing combined.
I'm just going to cut in. I have a 2-minute hard stop. I just haven't wanted to interrupt.
If I do this one search here, it's going to change Explorer gate crashing combined Oops, and I'm going to change the paragraph style to gear full integrated. Hit change all. That's made that one change there. Ooh, and it's actually going to take a second to do, and it highlights it like as if there was an animation. That's great. And now if I look at these other ones, so this is Firewall, Soldier Combined, Criminal Techie. They didn't automatically go because they were all different. But you can see here that with a few minutes of noodling around, I've taken text from one document, combined it, sorted it, and then automatically brought it through into many parts, or could be into many parts of another of your document with all your cards, or even a book. Now, I am running up against my time limit, and I could yell all night about interesting things with InDesign. So absolutely, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Adam Jury, or patreon.com Adam Jury, where I post stuff. I blog at adamjury.com. I yell a lot. I like yelling. And I'm just going to hop in here into the InDesign script examples. And here in JavaScript, there is this script called find change by list. And if I click it, I don't think it's actually going to do anything right now because I haven't customized the list. Nope, sure doesn't. This script lets you run multiple searches in a row without any intervention once you customize this file. So all of those search and replaces that I manually did, once I've done them once, I can automate them here and just boom, do the whole thing across an entire book. First thing, put the characters in place, run the search and replaces. Every character is properly formatted. Means that if you have numbers that might update with a new edition, you updated them in one place, run the search and replace, they'll update everywhere. Can save you a lot of time, and you can do this for anything. You can update images with this even. Super powerful. So I hope that in this time you have seen some things that made you go, I had no idea InDesign could do that. And I still don't know how the hell to do it because Adam was yelling and talking too quickly. But I hope it's given you some stuff to think about. And I just, want to remember that part of games are supposed to be fun, and making games should be fun. So I hope all of y'all find some time in the very near future to run around in circles and jump over the burning car. And then if you're on fire, sock me a line and I'll try to toss some water on you because Henry Rollins didn't drink all his water. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.